Hi, and thank you for joining us here at Tax Talk UK, where we talk about all things tax and also consider other important things that you need to know about if you are self-employed, working for yourself, running a small business. So today we're going to talk about the rates of corporation tax and marginal relief. Before I talk about that, if I could please ask you to take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you'll easily be able to refer back to this information if you should need to, as well as being able to easily find other information that we have available on a whole host of different topics, all aimed at supporting you and making you successful in your self-employment. So back then to corporation tax. So a lot of confusion with the changes to the corporation tax rates as to people wanting to know, well, what rate will I pay? How much corporation tax will I need to pay? Because of course, as we know, although you're not going to be having to pay that until after the end of the period, it's important that throughout the period you are making provision for the liability that you're incurring from the profit that you're generating. So quite rightly, people are asking this question now so they can work out how much corporation tax they'll need to pay. So the corporation tax, as most people are aware, has risen to 25%. Now, if you have profits of under £50,000, your rate will be 19%, which is the same as it was previously. And so that's quite straightforward. If your profit's under 50,000, then you're going to pay 19%. If it's over 50,000, then you're going to pay 25%. But what happens is if your profit is over 50,000 but under 250,000, you can apply for what's known as marginal relief. Now, what that means is in practice, so for example, with your income tax that you pay on your personal income, it's banded. So up to a certain threshold, you pay a certain rate on the income that's within that threshold. You go to the next threshold and you just pay on that amount of income. Whereas the corporation tax rate doesn't work like that. If you're under 50,000, you pay 19%. If you're over 50,000, you pay 25%. So if you literally your profits were 51,000, you still would pay 25% on the whole amount. And this is where marginal relief comes into play. So what that is doing is effectively giving you some relief for the fact that how far over the 50,000 that you are. So again, it's quite complex, and I'm not going to go into all the details of the calculation. In the description, I'm going to pop the links to gov.uk. So if you are so inclined to want to know the mechanics of it, then you can read more about that. But what I wanted to do today was just to be able to give enough detail so that you can quite easily get your head around how you work out how much corporation tax that you will pay. So we've got as far as if your profit's under 50,000, you'll pay 19%. Now, if your profit's over 250,000, you're going to be paying the 25%, and there's no marginal relief. So the marginal relief is for the people whose profit is between £50,000 and £250,000. And what it in effect, what it does is it takes account for the amount of profit that you had at 50,000. So whilst you will pay the prevailing rate on all of your profits, the marginal relief takes into account if you're over 50,000 or and under 250,000, it takes into account that the amount of that the 19% on the 50,000. Now, again, I'm not going to go into the detail of how how they work out the marginal relief and the fractions, but just so that you know how to work out how much relief you'll get. What you need to do is you take 250,000, take off your actual profit, assuming that it's over 50,000. And then with that difference, you multiply that by 1.5%. That is your marginal relief. And so then the marginal relief, so then you calculate, you take your profit, you assuming that that's between 50,000 and 250,000, you calculate the corporation tax at 25% on the full profit, and then you deduct your margin relief. So because you're taking the difference between your actual profit and 250,000 and then multiplying it by 1.5% to get the relief, what you should quickly be able to see is that the closer you are to 50,000, the higher the margin relief is going to be. So say, for example, if you take 50,000, just exactly 50,000, now you're going to pay tax at 19%. And that is what you will pay. That's quite straightforward. But if you imagine, if you paid on that 50,000, if you were paying corporation tax at 25%, effectively on that 50,000, you would be paying £3,000 more in corporation tax. So what you will find is when you calculate your marginal relief, you're going to be getting, the closer you are to 50,000, the nearer you are to be getting the full relief. So 51,000, for example, you would be getting marginal relief of £2,985. So you can see there, you're almost being put in a position as if you only paid 19% on the 50,000. If you, let's take another figure. Let's take a profit of 100,000 so that I can work through with you how you would calculate in that instance. So your profit is 100,000. So your corporation tax, so you're over the 50,000. So you're going to be paying corporation tax of 25% on the full 100,000. So your corporation tax bill is going to be £25,000. But then what we're going to do is we're going to look at if there's marginal relief available, so that the profit is over 50,000, the lower limit, and under 250,000, the upper limit. There are a couple of eligibility criteria, namely you need to be a UK company operating in the UK and not an investment group. But again, you'll be able to check the link just to make sure that your specific circumstances you are eligible. So back to our calculation. So we get 100,000 of profit. So we're going to look at what is the difference. We're going to take that 100,000 off 250,000. So we're 150,000 away from the limit. And that 150,000, we are going to multiply that. We're going to take 1.5% of that 150,000, which gives us 2,250. That is our marginal relief. So we then deduct that from our corporation tax of 25,000. So that means we would actually be paying 22,750. So then we would be said to be paying an effective tax rate of 22.75%. obviously, as you can see, every different profit will have its own effective tax rate. But that just is a way for you to actually work out what you have sort of paid overall. But the best way to be able to do this is to just do that simple calculation of taking your profit away from the 250,000, taking 1.5% of that, and that is your marginal relief, and deducting that from 25%. So it's still quite complex. But that is going to give you the best guess of best estimate, I should say, of your corporation tax liability, so that you can make provision. And of course, the reason why it's an estimate is until you get to the end of the year, you're not going to know exactly how much profit that you made. So your profit is estimated, so therefore your corporation tax provision is an estimate. So just in summary then, if you have profits under 50,000, the corporation tax will be charged at 19%. If your profits are above 250,000, your corporation tax will be charged at 25%. And if your profits are between 50,000 and 250,000, then your corporation tax liability, your profits will be charged at 25%, but you will be able to claim marginal relief. And to find out the marginal relief, you take the difference between 250,000 and your profit, take 1.5% of that, and that is your marginal relief, and you deduct it from the 25% corporation tax liability. So lots to get our heads around, then to be able to effectively make sort of close estimates in our provisions. So as I said earlier, I'm going to pop the links in the description. There's also a calculator where it will actually do the calculation for your marginal relief for you, if that's easier for you. So thank you very much for watching, and please do remember to subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Goodbye.